Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Morhonda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another one!
Oladipo!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three, and
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. It is Monday. Got to start it all over again. Hope you had a good weekend. Put that to bed, rested up, and ready to get going. As I am recharged. Dustin Schutte with me as well. Are you recharged? I'm not really recharged. I'm lying. I was tired, man. I don't know why either.
I got to tell you, I do feel recharged. I don't know why, but I do feel recharged. I'm ready to get going on a Monday, man. Lots of stuff to talk about. We get football. We get college football and professional football this month, so I'm jacked.
Well, yeah, there's that. It's certainly it's almost here as practice for Indiana starts tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the first of that. We'll start having reports from there, and among other things, I found comments by the Pac-12 commissioner. How you say his last name? George Kliavkoff.
Kliavkoff, yep.
Comedic almost. I think they are already regretting it, basically leaving. I'm like, he's so full of crap. No, they're not. No, they're not. They wish that it could have stayed. They wish that it could have worked out, I'm sure. But it's not going to just be, it's not just UCLA, USC. Texas, Oklahoma, they already did it. There's other, go back in the annals of time. This is not the first time teams have went to other conferences. You know, right. The Big 8, the Big 12 used to be the Big 8. Before it was the Big 12, the Pac-12 used to be the Pac-8.
Yep.
Before it was the Pac-12. So
the Big 10 actually used to have 10 teams.
Exactly.
But
now I love the fact that I love the fact that they have not changed the name. The Big Ten Conference is not going to change. It's to me it's a name of the conference. It's just that to me and I get it. It doesn't bother me. I don't care if there's 20 teams and it's the Big Ten. Right. Because if there were 20 teams, there will only be 10 big ones in it, I assure you. But I wonder if that will ever become an issue.
I'm sure. I don't know. There's so much of a foundation in the Big Ten conference. I don't know.
Big Ten Network? You're going to change the name?
Exactly. I'm guessing it's going to stick around. And then you can just point to say, well, it's based on our history. But right now, even if they do go to 20 teams, at least right now when they have a 16 team, it's really easy to do that. You remember the old Big Ten logo when they had the hidden 11 in there between the G and the T? They can turn that G now into a 6, and it represents your conference.
That's kind of funny. Yeah. There's that. Lots to get to today. Alec Lasley will be joining us, of course, as Indiana had a monster week of visits, starting with Jamie Kaiser, then with Arrington Page, and they finished up with Deshaun Harris. Is his first name Deshaun? Yeah. Harris Smith, Deshaun Harris Smith. Saturday, I think that finished up. So we'll hear about that, how those went. Xavier Booker is off the books. Not a big surprise to me. He commits to Michigan State, which had long been considered the front runner, and then Indiana kind of got involved, and some other teams got involved a little bit. But I didn't see them really pushing. So he's going to Michigan State. So there's one you don't have to worry about. There's one that maybe that makes it easier for an Arrington Page to say, okay, well, he's not going to be there. I don't have to worry about that. We'll talk about that with Alec and plenty more. Let's see. The race at the Brickyard over the weekend, which was a pretty good race. Tyler Reddick gets the win there on the road course. So I don't know if you saw any of that. I watched that race. Pretty good race.
I actually did not. I actually completely forgot about it until it was over. I did hear about it. I did hear Tyler won. That's awesome. He had been racing really well on the road courses, if I remember correctly.
His other win came on a road course, I believe.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's always fun to see. I'm disappointed in myself that I missed it because I always love watching the races, especially when they're in Indianapolis. But I didn't get to it this weekend.
Turn 1 on Indy's NASCAR road course has got to be the absolute craziest turn in all of motorsports. They get to start. They basically have they're going backwards now down the front stretch of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the opposite direction as normal. But they get the full run of that straightaway and then make a 90-degree right-handed turn, which that's all fine and well, except for as they're going down that straightaway, they would fan out as far as 7 wide. 7 wide. And I promise you, that turn does not accommodate 7 cars.
No.
At all. And that is every time they had a restart, it was awesome. To watch that, I'm like, what in the hell is going to happen? They would just fan out and then just come crushing in. And then as the race went on toward the end, there were guys just slamming in there, hoping that they would just bounce off, but have somebody else to bounce off on the other side to keep them straight. Right. It was crazy. But yeah, it was nuts. But fun watching that.
I mean, those road courses always they challenge those drivers in a much different fashion. I wish I could have watched it. I don't think I've seen the road course. I used to watch the Brickyard pretty much every year, just like I do the Indy 500. But for some reason, I don't think I've seen the race at the road course yet. It's only been 2 years, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I have not seen it yet. So I'm gonna have to put it in my calendar, my phone, set an alarm for next year so I can finally watch it.
Yeah, it's the Indy Motor Speedway for NASCAR. It just wasn't conducive to good racing.
Sure.
But this was fun. You also had the Grand Prix and the Infinity race this weekend. So, and I think that didn't AJ Allmendinger, who got second in the Cup race, win the Infinity race?
Yes.
He was worn out. Climbed out of the car. They had to he ran out of water during the race.
Oh man,
and that's something people don't think about. There's just no, the hydration part, man. And his cool suit wasn't working. And so it basically, when it doesn't work, it is almost the opposite. It's like one of those workout suits, basically, that's a trash bag that keeps all the heat in and makes you sweat more, which is not what his intention was. No. And so, yeah, it was a battle.
Especially what do you know what the temperature was? Because it's usually like 20.
It wasn't very hot,
okay,
but
well,
it's just, yeah, it would have killed him. But in the car, well, you can imagine. There's no air conditioning. I don't care what the temperature. Let's say the temperature is 85 degrees, and their windows are closed or sealed except for his driver's side window. But it doesn't even matter. He's contained. His body is contained completely.
It's probably 110 in there. It's probably 20 to 25 degrees warmer, I would think.
Oh, it's warmer. Yeah, it's every bit of it. Hot as can be. Let's see. My Reds. Luis Castillo. The last of man.
Are you?
But what I mean, but I expected nothing less.
Right.
What the hell else do they go? I mean, what? They've got nothing. I mean, they got Joey Votto. I mean, I don't know if Joey Votto, surely to God, he wants to go someplace because he knows there is zero path and zero chances for the rest of his career, which can't be what's he got? 6 years left?
Yeah, probably.
No chance, zero chance that the Reds are competitive within the next 6 years. The ownership has shown incompetence, too much incompetence to be able to build that. The farm system, the farm team in Louisville is not doing anything right now. So, yeah, I don't know what you look forward to. Where are they going to go? Man, you're trying hard to make me become a Cardinals fan.
I don't think you're alone there. Based on what I see when the Reds pop up, I mean, there's just no hope. I mean, Joe
the producer, our John's backup, is a Reds fan, and he's a young guy. He's in college, but he's like, oh my God, he's a Reds fan. He was lamenting. I'm laughing, thinking, how he's 19 or whatever. I'm laughing, thinking, if you only knew the heartache. It's all it is about being a Reds fan. It's seriously, the Reds are the new Cubs.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
With one exception, the Cubs should have never sucked like that for so long in a market that big.
No,
there's just no excuse for it. None.
Right. At least the Reds are not in that kind of market. Yeah, you're exactly right on that. And I don't even know what else to say. The good news is at least they won yesterday, beat the Orioles 3-2. But that's I don't even know where they stand in the division race. Are they dead last? Oh no, they're ahead of Pittsburgh. They're ahead of Mike DeCourcy's Pittsburgh Pirates. So there you go.
What? I have not pulled. Are you kidding me? They pulled out of the bay. I have not pulled it up in a while. So
they're a half game ahead of Pittsburgh.
Oh my goodness.
Let me see overall here. Oh wait. League.
Major League Baseball. Here's the scores and standings.
They're ahead of the Nats, the Nationals, the Pirates. Then if you go over to the American League, they're also ahead of the Oakland A's and the Kansas City Royals. So there you go. They're like sixth worst. However many teams that is.
Well, that's climbed up. They're a half a game in front of the Pirates in last place now. They've climbed out of the basement. And to be honest with you, go back to the start of the season. Didn't they start out like 3-20 something?
Yes. And two of those wins came in the first series against the Braves.
Oh, they won that series. But seriously, what did they start out as?
I thought they were 3-19, but maybe there were a few more losses mixed in there.
Take that start off. And
if you go 500, you're probably.
I was going to say, can you give them 500? I don't know if you give them.
Well, but they've been playing 500 baseball really since then. Okay. If you go 10-10, you're probably around what? I don't know what the math works out to, but you're probably
50
around
and 52. They'd be 50 and 50. They'd be 50 and 52.
There you go.
Which would put them in third.
Yeah, so then we're talking. I mean, we're not talking about them being a great baseball team, but they're not.
They'd probably be 7 games back,
right, and have a shot.
Totally respectable.
Yeah,
if you're 7 games back, you're competing. You're competitive,
and then that drives your team because then you're chasing something. Then then they have more energy because you're not completely out of the race. I mean, I'm not saying they're playing great baseball, but they're not. Ever since that start, I don't think they've been as bad as what their record indicates. They have been about a 500 team. It's just that I don't know. I mean,
just think if they hadn't have gotten rid of all the talent they got rid of.
I feel like that's a conversation every year.
Holy crap! We got to take a break. It's driving me nuts. Did I say? I said we'll talk to Alec earlier. I don't know why I said that. It's Kyler Staley joining us. John didn't correct me either.
Sometimes it's best not to.
Well, you didn't admit it. You didn't catch it.
No, I did. No worries.
Oh, you did? Because usually
Yep.
you do. Usually you do. You tell me everything.
Usually Dustin's not here to be that second voice already, though.
Well, he didn't catch him and tell me either. Nobody told me.
But he probably didn't know better.
I realized it.
keep
But
my
I
head
also
in-
realized that I forgot to say welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our great friends from Endeavor Hospitality over the WOW Club. Make sure you go there and sign up today at your Apple App Store or Google Play Store. It's totally free app to sign up for. Start earning WOW rewards today. WOW Club members earn exclusive discounts, dining dollars to spend, and more. Sent directly to your phone. They are a sponsor of IU Athletics. More importantly, a sponsor of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. So we asked you to please support those who support us and simply sign up. It doesn't cost you anything. They're not going to inundate you with anything, and it's a big help for us. But also valuable stuff when you're coming to the games. You can, and I still have yet to go down to BB's Marketplace to get I didn't make the chili this weekend. We'll have to talk about that, but you can visit bbsmarket.com for online ordering as well. Also, our good friends at Andy Moore Honda, don't forget about that, where they always have great deals going on with little to no % annual financing. Dustin Schutte with me. We've got Kyler Staley coming up next here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. I'm Jim Coyle. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting 3-22, man. 3-22.
That's
What's up, guys?
What
Good
up?
morning.
So am I Alec today?
You can be. I don't know why. I just wrote that down for some reason.
I'm hopping on a plane to New York right now. If I got to be Alec.
There you go. Does he live in New York?
He lives in
does.
New Jersey, I thought.
Well, he's
Oh,
back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, that's crazy.
Um,
Like, I guess recruiting's all over, so it doesn't necessarily matter that
Well,
much.
He's never in person. He always covers it from there.
stop, John. Kyler.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. We'll just go in order. Kaiser, Page. and
Deshaun Harris Smith.
yeah.
And then we've got Sicily and Harrelson on campus today.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Together.
Yes. They are also doing a Purdue visit together as well.
Well, Indiana's been losing to Purdue on a lot of guys, but not ones they've chased. They will not lose Sicily and Harrelson.
Yeah, they will be a priority for sure. Both of them together.
Already are.
Yes.
Oh man, where did that fucking note go?
School, you got Jim Harbaugh as a listener.
I know.
Oh yeah. He's a great character, man.
I love it.
He's loyal. He's loyal. He's just usually not on this early. How's it going?
He couldn't stay away, even though Tom Crean is his cousin. Is that his relation to him or his in-law?
Hey, at least
In-law.
you're on. At least you're in the ring of honor at the up
Yeah.
there, which I don't get. I still don't get. I asked about that the other day because I'm sitting there doing the show, looking up, and I'm like, how in the hell is Jim?
Too, for some reason?
Huh?
He always puts in the comments that I'm somewhere in the back listening to Nickelback.
Well, don't you keep it? I thought you kept that playing in the background all the time.
No, I used to. That sounds like my middle school days.
Look at this photograph.
It doesn't mean I don't like them now, but
I want to be a rock singer. I want to be a rock singer.
There you go. Thanks, Jim, for the clarification.
He said my. I love that. My.
All right,
got a
there
nice-
we go.
Find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by BB's Market in Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Monday, brought to you by our good friends from BB's Market. You know, BB's Market is your local meat shop, steakhouse, and caterer, no matter where you live, with some of the best custom meats around. BB's Market's the largest variety of in-house made products you'll find around as well. You can reach them at visitbbsmarket.com for online ordering. And I cannot wait to get down there to get my ingredients for my chili I'm going to make next. I haven't done that yet. Kyler Staley joining from thehoosier.com. It was a gigantic, that still continues. It's been a gigantic parade for Indiana. This may be, in my memory, the biggest stretch of online visits I can recall. I cannot remember 5 elite premier players in succession on visits to Indiana. And last week we had Jamie Kaiser, you had Arrington Page, you had Deshaun. Well, I get it confused. What is it? Harris Smith. Harris Smith. And now you've got Trent Sisley and Harrelson on campus today. Well, that's a parade of talent, man.
Yeah, it is. So yes, last week all 3 visits went really well. We got a bunch of information. We talked to the guys. We've got all that on thehoosier.com. And then, of course, today, this is the first official day that the 2025s are allowed to do on-campus visits. So why not start off with a bang for IU and have the 2 highest in-state prospects, in the next few years with Trent Sisley and Jalen Harrelson, guys that have played together pretty much their whole life and stuff, just played with Indy Heat this past summer. They're kind of like, you kind of look at them as a package deal right now, and why not have both of them on campus, which they do today. So we'll have, information regarding on how all those went or how that went. And I'm sure it's going to go fine with them.
Yeah, that's just I don't think Indiana gets, let's talk about the first 3 last week. Page, of course, in the middle. Harris Smith just finished up his visit in Kaiser. Kaiser, judging by his comments, now he was going to go home and at least think through it and potentially go to another visit to Maryland. We don't know. He canceled his UCLA visit, which that is obviously huge. I think they get 2 out of 3 of those guys. His comments were like, wow, it was an eye opener for them. That sounded very similar to that for Harris Smith on his visit. They were like, wow, it was bigger than they expected. So that sounds like, oh, wow. Arrington Page is someone that they kind of really need now, especially with Xavier Booker committing to Michigan State. Thoughts on those 3, the chances of getting whom, how many, what? What are you thinking?
Well, I think at least 2 out of the 3 that they can land. And I'm serious when I say this. I think there's a legit shot that they can land all 3, simply because all 3 of them play a different position and they can all play off one another. Page, obviously a front court player. And then you've got 2 playmakers with Deshaun Harris Smith and Jamie Kaiser. Like I said, like all those visits went great. Like you just said, kind of blown away by it. Jamie Kaiser, it's going to be down to Maryland at IU. There's no other school that's out there that can even contend with that. Page, he's got kind of a few other options with Alabama. Cincinnati's made a big push with him. So I'd be curious to see what they do with him, but they do need him, especially with Race and Trace leaving. And they just need another front court player. And then Deshaun Harris Smith, he's real close with Xavier Johnson. They work out together when X is back in his hometown. So, he's been kind of been in his ear a little bit and stuff, but there is a legit chance that they can land all three. But I'm thinking 2 out of the 3 at least that they land.
That's been my take along the way. So I think that they land 2 out of the 3. Getting all 3 is tough, but not impossible, because for the very reasons they are not competing against each other for minutes. All 3 are kind of different. Harris Smith and Kaiser, some similarities there, but not really. And Page, obviously, is a 6'8" big man that Indiana is going to need to fit in there. And so I agree. I think that they can get all 3. I just said probably 2 out of the 3 just because of you usually don't go 3 for 3 in an instance like that. But it would not shock me at all to see that happen with those 3 guys, like I said, because they're not competing for minutes, and there's going to be all the openings available for them to compete, to play immediately.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously with Page, that's just one front court player. They're probably going to hit it big in the transfer portal for a big after next year as well. Even if they do land Page, just kind of get that 4-man rotation going on. But yeah, they can easily land all of them. It's not impossible, especially with the amount of people that will be leaving next year. They will be a little guard wing heavy if they do land both Harris Smith and Kaiser, but that's what Woodson wants. He wants more guards. He wants more playmaking wings. So they come in and they fit right away with Mike Woodson's system.
Absolutely. And looking forward to seeing what that, I think of the 3, the soonest decision might come from Harris Smith, it seems, as a decision is impending from him by the end of this month, right?
Yes, he would probably be the soonest. And then after that, I would probably say Kaiser, just because, it's only down to two teams and whatever, and it depends on if he's going to take another visit to Maryland. Who knows with that. Page, I think we'll wait probably maybe a month or so to see where he's going to land. He's got a lot more visits, and I think he wants to take a lot more senior visits as well, because he's got a lot more options than a lot of those guys than the other 2 have. So that's kind of a tentative timeline. We can see those guys commit.
And then go ahead, Dustin.
I was going to say, do you think that there could be, to me, and sometimes particularly on the basketball side, there tends to be, if players know each other, if they have a connection or something, there tends to be a domino effect almost. You see, okay, so-and-so is going to commit. Do you think that there could be a domino effect where one guy, if they do land all 3, is there a case where the first guy commits and then it's bam, bam, they get all 3, or is this going to be more of an individual type thing, do you think?
That's possible. That could happen. But when I look at those 3 guys, I don't think they have a connection. So I think it will just be kind of an individual type of thing. The ones, obviously you got to watch out with Harris Smith and Kaiser, just because there are some similarities there. You don't really know what one is thinking with the other. Let's say if Harris Smith committed to Indiana, Kaiser might take a step back and be like, okay, can I play with him? Am I going to be competing for the same minutes? Which I don't think they will be. Woodson obviously probably pitched that, with those 2 and what each would be doing. But yeah, I think it would probably be more of an individual thing if I had to take a real hard guess at it.
Then right now on campus, Indiana, over the next 2 days, Trent Sisley, Jalen Harrelson. Now, aren't they actually splitting days at Purdue?
I'm not entirely sure about Purdue. I thought they were going to go together, but
yeah, I thought that when I originally thought it, they were splitting it, and then someone commented that was the case, that they were just going on opposite days.
That could be the case as well then.
Trent Sisley being at Purdue today and then coming to IU tomorrow, then Ohio State Wednesday. Harrelson is at IU today, Purdue tomorrow. Yeah, that's what I thought as well. I agree. So they're separate. It's hard to go on dual recruits. Because they want to treat you. They want to give you your experience and treat you and give you that special treatment. But Jalen Harrelson getting it, man. He's a unique case. He's 6'7" point guard that looks like a fullback, Dustin, that is going to be a sophomore in high school, that looks like a sophomore in college, that plays on the football team, no less. But he's a unique specimen. I mean, my God, you just don't see point guards that tall and that big. This dude, he's like a poor man's Magic Johnson, I guess, at 6'7", where in high school, he could post up if he wants to and play. But man, oh man, that 6'7" point guard in college, whoo, that's gonna be a great asset for anybody to have.
Yeah, it is. Especially because of how talented he is already at his age. I mean, he's got the skill set to play as a high school senior or college level freshman. So, same with Sisley. He's coming along a lot more than what we, kind of expected this summer, especially with his outside game. He's become more of that stretch four, and I think that's what Indiana is pitching to him. He comes in and plays that stretch four role. But yeah, like they are, I could see them being a package deal just because of the chemistry that they have. Compare them a lot to Schutte and Malik Renault. Like those guys are, incredible chemistry together, and they want to play together, I believe.
Well, and they played together on the Indy Heat 16 and under team very successfully. And who else is on that team? Is Floyd Badunga on that team?
No, it's Cannon Catchings.
Cannon Catchings, which is also an IU recruit, correct?
Yes, there's no official offer, I don't believe yet, but he has been on campus.
Yeah, but yeah, but these 3 visits or 5 visits, truthfully, within a period of 7 days, actually just crazy in and of itself. And the reason I say that is because Sisley and Harrelson, I think that IU gets both of those guys. You just mentioned you think it's a package deal, but I think IU has made them a priority from day one. Brian Walsh has done an outstanding job with them and will continue to do that. He is going to be like a brother to those guys. They're trying to be, and because he has been like a bulldog on the recruiting scene, but they've been on those guys from the start. And with the 3 guys that were just in, I agree with you. I've said that it's not another question that Indiana lands all 3. I definitely think they get 2 out of the 3, but all 3 is possible because they're all needed. And that, what kind of a boon would that be to IU's future recruiting?
If they landed all 3 of Kaiser, all the guys from last week, I mean, it's going to be huge. I think this is probably, especially during the Mike Woodson era, so far, this is by far the biggest recruiting week. If they land that, I mean, that's just perfect, honestly. It shows you what the kind of guys that IU is going to get. And now Woodson's already kind of proved that with getting Hutchefino and Renault and Gabe Cupps and Ja'Kai Newton. Like, those are some high-level guys that he's bringing in. You get all 3 of those, I mean, Indiana is definitely back when it comes to recruiting. You land all 3 of those, even 2 out of the 3, I believe.
Yeah. Robert asking, does a commitment really mean much? Yeah, it does, because the reason they're coming here is obviously basketball, but there's other things in the package. This is not just the IU package, Dustin. So yeah, it's a package now.
Well, and not only that, maybe you guys can speak to this a little bit more because I don't follow basketball recruiting as closely as you guys do. But on the football, like to me, the football commitments are the one that are more finicky. It feels like to me, on the football side, a guy can change at the snap of a finger, right? Like a guy, you see a commitment, and then 2 weeks later he decommits. He commits somewhere else, decommits a month later after that. But in basketball, it's almost always. You commit, you're committed to that. Like there's not as much change up, there's not as much turnover. It's a smaller roster. You're able to have more personable conversations. You got football side. You're talking to 100, 150 guys at least. On the basketball side, you're probably talking to I don't know what 15, 20 per class, maybe something like that. I don't know what the number is, but it's more personable. So I mean, maybe you can speak to that more, Kyle. Are there more decommitments than I'm aware of? Or I just always have made that distinction on the basketball side where if a guy commits, typically he's committed there for at least that year.
At least unless it's to a school, a mid-level or lower level school that gets siphoned off by someone else. Other than that, I agree with you 100%, Kyler.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's more on the football side than you see on the basketball side. Now, obviously, a couple weeks ago, you had the G.G. Jackson dilemma in North Carolina, him decommitting and stuff. So a little controversy there. But I think it happens more with football than it does with basketball. Now, obviously, you got to watch out for, a verbal commit versus a signed document commit. But even then, like with the signed one, there's ways you can get out of that and things like that. I mean, it is like, especially so we'll use Gabe Cousins as an example. We have guys in our forum that talk about like, why is Indiana, at these Adidas events watching him rather than they could be watching a Jamie Kaiser or whatever that they're trying to get. You never stop recruiting your own players. You never do that. So, that's why you're going to do that. Because who knows? I mean, not saying this will happen, this won't happen, but who knows? Gabe Cupps could have been like, I don't want to come to Indiana just randomly. So, yeah, like basically what you said, it happens more on the football side, but it's not impossible on the basketball side.
Well, and to that point too, like you mentioned, you got to continue to recruit, even if you're bringing in some of the top talent, because I've heard this used among multiple coaches. Recruiting isn't picking, right? Like they still have to make the decision, and you can't just go all in on 4 or 5 guys and then cross your fingers and your toes and hope they commit. If you got to continue to recruit in case those priority targets decide that they're going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, plan B, C, and D.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's always the case. So that's why if you go to the offer list, you'll see how many offers are out there. I mean,
right.
there's got to be maybe 16, 17. I don't even know. I'm just guessing from when I've seen it. There's a lot of them out there. And they commit elsewhere, whatever, it changes things. So I want to make sure we don't we got to get going, but Jim Harbaugh's week. But what's up next, Kyler? When do you expect to hear any news?
It'll be later this week. Of course, we'll talk to Sicily and Harrelson sometime this week. We'll have some stuff up on thehoosier.com, which, by the way, quick plug here, we do have a free month at thehoosier.com. You can sign up for that, and obviously football's right around the corner. There's a lot of visits going on, so we'll always have a bunch of information on that. But we'll just keep in contact with the guys that visited last week, especially this week with Harrelson and Sicily, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we can get a timetable or a timeline of the commitment maybe by the end of this week, maybe next week, but we'll see.
Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com. Appreciate you, sir. Make sure you go there, get signed up. They've got a free month of premium coverage, and follow Kyler Staley. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, guys.
You bet. Hey, coming up next, we've got the great Dustin Dopirak from the Bloomington Herald-Times. Looking forward to that. We're back right after this, brought to you by BB's Market. BB's Market, your local meat shop, steakhouse, and catering, no matter where you live. Visit bbsmarket.com. Back with Dustin Dopirak right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
The sun is out. Dustin Dopirak, how are you, sir?
Outstanding, Jim Coyle. How about yourself?
Wonderful. How is Dustin Schutte? Dustin Schutte, do you have like headphones?
Yes,
like
but they're
Apple?
broken.
So
No,
the answer is no, you don't.
I've got to buy new ones because I got caught in a rainstorm out here.
I just don't understand. You and Brockway, I've got like 8 pairs of these damn things laying around everywhere. I'm like, so many of them. I'm like, wow. I have tons.
I have 3 pair. The Apple ones, the left one, for whatever reason, the left one always goes out on me. So those pair are shot. It drives me nuts to hear out of one and not the other.
Wow.
I have a second pair, which are noise canceling headphones. I lost the charging cord for that. And then the other, about 2 weeks ago, I got caught in a rainstorm, and my headphones fell out of my ears while I was running back to the apartment, and now they turn on and off on their own because they're touch sensitive. So they just randomly turn on and off throughout the day. So I've got to order new ones, is what I'm telling you.
Yeah. Or just
he
go.
Doesn't sound nearly as bad as Kevin's microphone, though.
No.
I need a microphone too.
Well, part of it is being in a different room. Just like, look at Dustin. He's sitting on that couch, absorbs so much sound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm in like a little cave
I didn't
here.
realize that.
Kyler was just on. He was in his car, and his car absorbed all that sound. It's crazy.
I have a blanket around my microphone. It doesn't do the best job, but it makes it better than it would be.
One time I built a box with foam inside of it and just put it around the microphone.
When I worked at a webcasting company, they built one too, so they could shoot all their commercials from there, and it was great sound.
It doesn't take much. It's amazing, but you can sure tell the difference when it's done. What's up next for you or new for you, Dustin? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I got a couple this morning. I got Tracy Smith on the phone about a week and a half ago, and they finally got that one.
I saw that. I saw that article.
I wrote about Pat Kraft.
I saw that article.
So those two just hit. Zach's got one on 5 burning questions today, just going into camp, and tomorrow I've got like 5 position battles I think are going to be interesting, and then I'm writing about the coordinators this week. I got to get them done.
Here we go, guys.
So.
Now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is a Monday. Hope we're getting your week off started to the right way. Hope you had a great weekend. Jim Coyle with you as always, joined by Dustin Dopirak and Dustin Schutte. Man, that's going to be fun. I don't think we've never had.
We've done this once. We've done this once.
We did? Okay. Yep. I couldn't remember. I was like, oh man.
It's been a while. I think, it's been a bit, but I feel like we've done this before.
I remember this vividly. I used the term Cobra when I should have used Python, and Dustin corrected me on that. That was probably my most embarrassing moment on this show.
I now remember that, and I don't know why. I don't know the context.
I was going to say, what was the context?
I think somehow you made it that like it was a thing that chokes, and you were thinking of a Cobra, and it's not because
it was about Northwestern's defense. I remember we were talking about that, how they suffocate you, and I said Cobra, and Dustin was like, "Hold up, it's a Python."
I think you mean
Python. And I was like, "Okay."
Different.
Well, welcome in. Brought to you by our good friends from Remax Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore, and her 2 decades of experience could be the difference between you getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl, at IndyHomePros.com. Dustin's got a couple of nice pieces out right now. One, Pat Kraft. You talk about a guy that, man, if and only if Scott Dolson had not been on the same path, Pat Kraft is probably a guy that could not have been groomed more, not have been gone on to a better path to become Indiana's
athletic director. Yeah.
Elite athletic director.
He would be the guy if Scotty Dolson wasn't there.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I was one who was a proponent of his hiring when that came up. Not anything to do with Scott, but because he had been an AD at 2 or 3 places already. I think he was at Tulane or Temple at the top. Temple.
Yeah, he was at Temple, and then he went to Boston College. Around the same time Dolson got the job, he went to Boston College for 2 years there, and
he's now the Penn State or the athletic director at Penn State, folks. Penn State. We're talking big time. I mean, when you have a football program like that, you're massive.
Right. Well, I mean, it's not like he invented Penn State football. You know what I mean? It's not like, it's not like Pat Kraft gets the job at Penn State, and if that you imagine that if you hired Pat Kraft, you would have Penn State's football team. That's not how it works.
Oh, no. I didn't mean it. But I'm just talking about
he'd bring it with.
No, I meant his ascension.
It's a big deal. No, it's a big deal. And like you could argue back and forth, like, would he have been a better hire than Scott? I don't know. I mean, bottom line, Scott was deputy, and very rarely are you going to put a guy in that position and leave him there for that long and not keep him there. And also, Scott knows the department so well back, forwards, and sideways in every piece of it. And he has a better sense of, what's the word I'm looking for? He was a basketball manager. He has a better sense of what the flagship is for Indiana.
He
football
has
guy.
done a great job. I don't want to say that. He's done a great job.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, it is – both of these men deserve to be athletic directors. Like,
I guess my point was
thing to say.
There's been so many times, well, most of the time, where Indiana needed a guy there, a guy like Scott Tolson or Pat Kraft, and they didn't have either of them. But yet, here's a time that comes where both are available. I mean,
and so you got to give credit. I think. I mean, obviously, I think there's a lot of people that like over the course of 10 years have some things that they can pick apart as far as Fred Glass is concerned. But what I think anybody who worked in that department under him would tell you is it was good for fostering development. I think, actually I got a hold of Fred for Pat's story, the story on Pat. And I think, he was just great, as Fred generally, you call him, you get a hold of him within, as soon as he has an hour, he's got you, he gets you back. But, one thing he said about Pat was like, I told everybody in that department to not be afraid to take chances, not be afraid to color outside the lines. And he told a story, and I forgot this. And like, he talks about heat he got for it. And it might've been me who made the call. But when they got the video board, there was like some call that was shaky that year, and there was a subway at the time where the official comes on and says, like, I totally blew that call. It wasn't even close, but don't worry, I'll have a bad call against the other team in the second half just to even things up. And Pat, it's like somebody in the marketing department, like Pat was kind of in charge of content there, and so like Fred can't remember if it was Pat who actually pressed the button or somebody else in the marketing team, but somebody played that ad while refs were making a decision, like during the game. And like the conference was really mad about it. The Big Ten was extremely upset. The officials were extremely upset. And, Fred got questions about whether or not he was going to fire Pat. And Fred was like, no, hell no, no chance. And, so he's like, yeah, like we can't do that. But ultimately,
IU could use a lot more of that, to be honest with you.
It's like, I like guys that color outside the lines. That was the point. Like, I wanted to improve the game day experience. And this is a line you can't cross. And so we're not going to do it again. But, I like the idea that they were thinking outside the box and looking for ways to make this better. And so Fred did create that kind of environment. So if you were in the department, you developed. Now, I mean, like, obviously everyone's going to, like, there are decisions about Fred that they're going to question as far as coach is concerned and what he invested in and what he didn't. But I think if you worked in that department, if you were a young person in that department, you developed. I mean, and so he's got, I think, this is now, I think, 3 athletic directors that were part of the department when he started it. They get people that are now running their own shop, so that's Pat, Scott, and Julie Cromer. That's at least 3 that I know of off the top of my head.
And then prior to that, you've got
you had a mess.
Chris Reynolds. Chris Reynolds. Well, Chris Reynolds,
that's right, Reynolds,
which had nothing to do with. It had nothing to do with Fred Glass.
Well, he was part of the department. He was part of the department.
Was he? Was he? I did not.
Now, I don't think he got in it under, like, I think he was already part of the department before Fred was hired. But I mean, he was part of the department during Fred. So, like, that's
so
now
Chris Reynolds at Bradley.
4 people who have been athletic directors, basically that were part of that department in Indiana. So, as far as professionally developing other people, like they did pretty well there, and so that's created better environments at other spots where Indiana had a rough. It was a rough department before Fred got there, and so at least again, you can argue about other decisions he made. Should he have extended Tom Crean? Should just decisions like that, but he did foster a department of good development where other people got through that and were able to run their own shop. So, and even though he was a guy who was never in athletics before,
I think they need more of that today. Indiana has always been a, how do you put it nicely?
They've not been good at football, Jim. I think.
That's
they're dancing around and trying to get to the end.
I'm talking about I'll say that flat out. Program has just been. I'm talking from a fan standpoint. They're always like real reserved. You can't. Indiana has never been an outside the lines kind of. No excitement. No. Chuck Crabb was very on the PA, very reserved and professional. No, welcome, you're Indiana Hoosier. Crazy stuff. It's very buttoned down, kind of that's the word I'm looking for.
Sure.
I think football could desperately use something to help bring excitement, because until the program itself is doing that, but they've never done that. And they've never really, I don't know. I know that they try to do lots of different things, but I don't know if they've tried hard enough in football, to be honest with you, as far as the fan side of it.
I think obviously one thing that you run into, and so I remember every year we did stuff with Fred, talking about what they're going to do with the game day experience this year, and that was something he really talked about, because he and he even said this when we were talking about it. It's like, what are you going to do? Make 10,000 people mad? Who cares? We don't have anybody here. Let's take some chances. But you can only take it so far, because then you look and so that's the tough part, is being in a scenario where you are, because I think Fred sometimes wanted to look at it like a minor league baseball owner, to be like, hey, just take chances, throw shots in the dark, man. Let's just get everybody out there that you can. But you're still in the Big Ten, and so you're not if you're a minor league baseball owner and you're playing minor league baseball teams, well, everybody's in the same boat, and everybody's trying to get this gimmick and that gimmick, and so this person is trying to, you are only doing what everybody else in the league is doing. If you get gimmicky in the Big Ten, then you look gimmicky. And so it's okay, what can you do? You're Indiana football and you're trying to gain attention, you're trying to do everything you can. But when everybody, again, when you've got Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan in your league, and, you're operating like a minor league baseball team, then you the contrast is heightened. You look more Bush League, because you're doing stuff that's zany and weird and whatever. And, they did some stuff. I mean, it's just saying, all right, we can only go so far with this. I mean, he reminded me of a few things that because some of these were Pat's ideas, because he said hey, Pat, you're the point man on this. I want you to go crazy, because just no ideas too nuts, give it a shot. And, obviously he's a football player though. He is not going to sort of undermine, again, make it Bush League. But I mean, there was a lot of stuff they did when they first got the video board. I remember they did the, when they do the, they brought the flag timeout to football, and had, dancers wearing Lone Ranger gear, basically. There was, I used to make a crack all the time that Fred Glass is, half the budget's fireworks. Because Fred brought the pyro, man. I mean, no joke. When he got there, I mean, there is so much more fire, actual literal fire, that goes on at Indiana football games that went before the Fred Glass era. And I used to joke he must have found a really good deal at some at the border firework joint that he's got to throw them all out there, because they used to shoot them out 5 minutes before kickoff to tell you to get in from the tailgating fields. It was that was a reason to fire off fireworks. It was any reason that he could find to blow stuff up. And so it's they did take a lot of those chances, but it's you can, first off, there's just only so much that you can do with the college football game to start with. And there is overkill. And, when you're in the state Big Ten, and you're the gimmicky program, from that perspective, then it does it can take away from what, it can make what you have on the field look Bush League, and that's the issue, is you can't, you have to try, but if you go so far as to look like you're a single A baseball team, then that will ultimately hurt you. So
I agree.
I know where the line is, and I think they generally did.
I agree. We got to take a quick break. We got lots more coming up. Lots of before we do that, you had another story out as well. Hold on.
I had Skip. I had Tracy. That was fun.
How'd you end up with that? Let's see.
Got
it. You're talking about Tracy Smith. Tracy Smith, the former IU baseball coach, who's now at Michigan after a stint at Arizona State. And Michigan is, Michigan and Indiana are the two Big Ten teams that really have done anything of late.
That have been to the College World Series in the last 40 years.
Yes, well, that kind of puts it right in perspective. But
yeah,
so now
there was others before. I mean, I think it's wild to study college baseball history, because it used to be a very regionalized tournament, so you could get in from the north. Like there was a Northeastern representative, there was a Midwestern representative, so you got into the top 8 just by playing out a regional of other schools in your area. Where, you know, in the 80s they were like, well, screw this, like clearly the Southern schools are better, like let's seed it. And then so you would have like, you know, 8 schools, and 5 of them that were seeded, and 8 of them were in the SEC, or 5 of them were SEC. And so, you know, that's obviously changed the game some. So it's just for a long time been a harder deal for the Big Ten. But since then, obviously the team that have since sort of cracked the code was the Indiana 13 team and the Michigan 2019 team. So, you know, for Tracy, he's looking around and seeing more, you know, resources. People care about baseball more. You know, and he's saying like his thing was like, I don't want to go anywhere where I can't win a national championship, and I think I can win a national championship in Michigan. So, you know, he's like, they were right there, they were right on the cusp of it. They almost did it. They were 1 game away in 2019. So it was worth it. And he said, you know, I was looking for alignment. I didn't feel like I had enough alignment at Ohio State or at Arizona State in terms of what they, you know, and how I felt we needed to build a program and how they felt we needed to build a program. So I feel like I've got alignment at Michigan.
We've got more coming up here. Dustin Dopirak from the Bloomington Herald-Times. We're back with it, brought to you by our good friends from Barbara Pop Realty Services. If you're looking for a home in the southern Indiana, Louisville area, Floyd, Clark, Harrison County, you need Barbara Pop Realty Services and their 3 decades of services down there. Matt Lincoln, Matt at barbarapop.com will get you covered. Back with more Dustin Dopirak right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda. You know, it doesn't get enough talk, but the reason, in my opinion, Indiana football is what it is they have never recovered from the 1969 race boycott.
Yeah, you could argue that. I would actually argue that.
Look at the record. Just look at the records.
Yeah. No, I mean they never really got it all the way back.
I mean, it's amazing how bad it was as I'm sitting here doing these numbers right now. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's shocking.
Yep. They never got off the canvas from that. You know, I mean, I guess, and like, yeah, once they got in that hole, it was hard to get out of. And so obviously they get the Mallory years, and you have a few in the middle there that are pretty good, and then that fades. And
it takes a decade. 1979 with Lee Corso.
Yep.
God, but that didn't last either. Trying to add these up real quick. That's a lot of adding to do. I can't do it now. I'll have to do it later. I should have done it through 79. Oh, man. In India, these visits were something. I think they're going to clean up, man.
Basketball?
Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, it does seem like they hit on some guys that like. This seems like the moment where they finally really focused. I mean, and now I've been distant on it. Like I have not done a great job of honing in on recruiting. So, but
well, it's
what I've read is that
it's an ever-changing deal.
Yeah.
Where are you
guys?
Let's see. If you start tomorrow, what's your starting 5? Oh man.
Someone ask.
Jim Harbaugh. Let me explain. I understand that, and I believe that. But Sharon Wilkerson is not the guy he was back then. I have had the great fortune of having him on a couple of times, and he has done a 180. He has the most compliment the nicest guy you'll ever talk to.
Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by K-Bello. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is a Monday. Dustin Schutte's with me. Dustin Dopirak. It's a double Dustin treat. Big week last week, and it continues this week, Dustin Dopirak, for Indiana basketball. As I in the previous segment, I said I cannot remember a time in my memory that they had 5 consecutive recruits of this level, at this talent level, just in back to back to back to back to back. Last week you had Jamie Kaiser and Arrington Page, and then Deshaun Harris-Smith, and now you've got Jalen Harrelson and Trent Sisley, who I know there were 25 guys, but it's still boom, 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 boom. That hasn't happened in my memory. That's 5 straight elite recruits.
Yeah, I and I'm sure you guys talked about this, but and I've been sort of behind when it's come to recruiting, but I'm interested in the scheduling of it, just because generally when you start scheduling these visits, a part of the reason why you don't necessarily put them back to back at this stage is you usually start scheduling football weekends. And I think part of it is they've got more visits involved. I presume they're able to take more, and the entire setup is different, because I think you're allowed to take more officials. You're allowed to take junior year officials or whatever, or what counts as junior year, what counts.
Harris Smith canceled his upcoming visit with Jamie Kaiser had a scheduled visit with UCLA that he canceled after his visit to Indiana.
Interesting.
And
it's interesting that they I guess that's what the move is saying, like, we're trying to get this done now. We're trying to get these guys finished up. We're not waiting for you to see what it looks like in the fall. We want to know now. But it's interesting that it does seem just to be a different calculation. Whereas it seemed to be when they started, I think again, you must be allowed to take more of them, but it usually seemed like if they were getting out of state kids, instead of saying, get to our campus right now, let's do this. It has generally been, and it's not just Indiana, but a lot of schools, come see us in September, see a fall weekend, see a football game, we'll take you out, like that. We'll make it a whole show. And instead it's like, let's get you on campus right now. You're going to see enough of it, let's go.
Well, the thing seems to be, Dustin, Schutte, is getting them on campus, whether it's football or basketball. It's getting them to your place so you can lock them in a room. Not really, but you can show them. You can
poorly, I think.
Boy, you can show them all the video. Well, I was being kidding. I was kidding. Lock them away from all the outside stuff and just try to best. In essence, you're brainwashing them into your school. You show them, you put the jersey on them, and you take the pictures and all that, and you show them the film. And some schools they come out on the court and starting here at guard Dustin Dopirak. They do all that stuff, and Indiana doesn't do that. But something I did see that was different is, and it was Deshaun Harris-Smith's mother who said she got to meet Scott Dolson, the athletics director. She said that was a first, and honestly, it's first for me. I haven't really heard that. I guarantee you will hear it now from other people as soon as anybody does something. But what a great move! Damn, I've never heard of a parent getting to talk to the AD on their recruiting visit. Doesn't happen, but that's kind of Scott. Scott is like that. He's so approachable.
Well, I mean, these kids are spending you expect 3 to 5 years on campus, and he's going to have those student athletes are going to have a close relationship to the coach, to the administration, to the athletics director. So, but I mean, to the point of them getting these kids on campus earlier, I mean, I don't know. It's probably smarter for a place like Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State to get them on campus for a football game because you see the student support. We just talked about earlier how Indiana doesn't have the best fan support come football season, right? Like, I don't know if I don't want to say it hinders them because it's two different sports. Indiana's always been known as a basketball school, so it's not really comparable. But at the same time, I don't think that hurts you by not having them at a football game. Like, I just think it's pretty much a wash at that point because you're not. And if you do have a sold out crowd, usually it's because Michigan's in town, because Penn State's in town, Ohio State's in town, one of those schools. So, I mean, it's an interesting time. I mean, I don't know what Mike Woodson's mindset is, but to me, it doesn't matter if they're on campus for a football game or not at this point. When you talk about Indiana, Purdue, I mean, some of those other schools, it makes sense at the bigger ones. But maybe you can shed more light on that, Dustin.
Well, I mean, like I'm just thinking of those from yesteryear. I mean, I remember, Vic Oladipo came in for a football weekend. And so like Vic's was probably was one of the more like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I guess public ones, mostly because they went to a frat house and somebody recorded him and Mo Creek having a dunk contest with some frat bros, so like, I don't know.
It's like on Winning Time. If you've seen that,
I haven't seen.
Oh man, there's a part where Magic goes to a party that's being held in L.A. and it's one of the current Lakers, and Magic gets schooled in street clothes on this all in front of all these people. But sorry to interrupt.
Vic and Mo did not get schooled by anybody. But I mean, so I talked to years later, like we did a piece of The Athletic because we were just doing these like reaching back stories that didn't have to be tied to an anniversary or whatever. But I just did one on Vic and I asked because Derek had him there and Derek was like, 1 minute is like Vic wants to hoop all the time. So like, Vic just like faded into this. So the point though is it's not just the football game. It's having everybody on campus, having all the students there, which means all the frat parties, like the entire social scene is kicking in September in a way that it is not at the end of July. Like you see the campus, you see what's going on, and there's value there. But it's like you don't get the whole social experience where you get the whole social experience if you come for a football weekend in September in terms of what it's actually like to be on campus in school. So you remember a piece of it too, like the counter of football not being a big deal is at Indiana, what you notice and like what kids generally take away from that is that everybody knows them. They get on campus and like everybody was ready for them to show up. Everybody knows who they are, where they play high school ball, what their AAU team is, where they're ranked, like all this stuff. Like students know, and particularly kids like at frat houses who like want to have the basketball guys show up every once in a while. They really know. And so like that's something they notice is that like there's a lot of places they go that are more football schools that they can fade into the background. But like when you show up at Indiana, everybody knows you're coming. And so like that's something they particularly notice on a football weekend. They notice also that they're as big of a deal as a visitor as the football game is.
Yeah.
And like that is something that they pick up on. And so like in a way, the football thing kind of plays to their advantage. But like, I mean, people are taking pictures of them in the stands. Like they notice that everybody around them is looking at them. But they are very much VIP when they show up in an Indiana football game because it was like, whoa, like this is the most important thing happening in this building. Not even what's on the field is this guy being here, depending on who it is, obviously. But like there are times when like the thing that people are IU fans are most interested in is who's sitting next to Mike, or Archie when it was Archie or Tom when it was Tom, like that is something. Now, again, getting him on campus as fast as possible. I mean, like that's its own strategy, so that's its own separate strategy. But that's, I think, the value there. Like that's what comes in. And obviously it's different guys when they want to make a decision, when they want it over with, whether they even want to travel during the school year, and have to go out to some campus and come back on, Monday from wherever they were, like all of that is part of a factor in terms of getting him in. But that's the value is that you are the guy on campus that week and everybody cares about you. And, despite the fact there's 40,000 people on campus, not all 40,000, because obviously there's still thousands of kids who don't care about basketball, even in Indiana.
Right.
But,
yeah, that's funny. Imagine there are thousands of kids that don't even know. They could be sitting next to Trace Jackson Davis, possibly. I hate to use that
less
because
likely
he's
at
so tall,
Indiana
but...
than other schools. Is the
yeah, absolutely.
You stick them at, I don't know, Cal Berkeley or whatever, and they'll be like, I don't care about your sports. I don't.
Yeah, most of the time people are going to know. I mean, I remember being in a freshman class, like a 100 level class, and Jamal Meeks walking by when I was in school, and I'm like, damn, that's Jamal Meeks. He was a year older than me, but. But they're killing it on the recruiting trail, man, and it's such a difference because I think that we talked earlier. I don't, what the odds of Indiana landing all three of the guys from last week are, but it's like Kyler said, it's not out of the question.
Yeah,
I think that they get 2 out of the 3. I really do, and all 3 are not out of the question because of the need and the fit. And the opportunity for those guys. So, but man, oh man, I asked them, and I'll ask you the same question. If they were to land all 3 of those guys, what message does that send to other recruits, to other teams, to everybody?
No, it's a big deal. I mean, anytime you land guys, and anytime you get, anytime you get somebody to sign with you, it's a big deal. I mean, so now, I mean, are there you could also simultaneously argue okay, you just, you didn't get the best player in your state. That just happened this week too. So all of this, there's constant rise and fall in terms of who you get, who you don't get. But whenever you get somebody, it's a boost. And and they are 3 players that would make a difference. That are guys that I think really sort of fit what Woodson's looking for, in that they're long, they're rangy, they're multi-positional type guys that you could see making for a more a group that fits, that's able to play 4 out 1 in on offense. It's able to switch a lot on defense. They want more and more of that. Where they probably inherited some guys that were more sort of tied to 1, maybe 2 positions. Like, you're starting to add guys that really fit, that make you that give you the versatility that Woodson wants, and that makes a difference. Landing guys from several different parts of the country makes a difference. Just showing again you're gonna stick your flag in there. But again, you win some, you lose some, and obviously I don't know how close they were on Booker, but you get him, and it's probably even a bigger message than if you get these 3 guys. And that might not make him a better team, but it would have been a bigger message. So
yeah, I wonder if they just got in too late.
Maybe altogether possible. Booker it seemed like Michigan State was the team from the beginning.
And
it went back and forth.
And because this the staff seems to be honed in on that 2025 class, mainly because the 24 class is kind of weak, and they already have what. They could already have what they need for 24, but so they have 25 is the first next open spots, and that's the guys like Trent Sisley and Jalen Harrelson, who are on campus today and tomorrow at IU. So that
which
continues.
Are really important. They're not trying to get it twisted, not trying to say whether they're screwing anything up. They're not. It's what's the word I'm looking for here exactly? It's messages and stuff like that. I mean, again, everybody else is recruiting too. Everybody else is getting some guys in and has gotten some big names and stuff. So, everybody you get matters. Everybody you get matters. But it's okay, obviously for Indiana to make a big statement, they have to get a guy that Duke can't get, or Kentucky can't get, or whatever, or Michigan State can't get, or whatever. That's how they make a big statement. You put yourself in good position when you have a good class, and obviously they put themselves in really good position with their 2022 class. Nobody thinks Mike Woodson can't recruit. Now are they? They are not getting on. They're not on the Duke block yet. And no. So that's a different level. But what's been proven, I think, is okay. Indiana can hang with all of the sort of reasonable other programs. Basically, there's Duke is up here, and Kentucky's maybe a notch lower, and Kansas and North Carolina are still up there. But basically once you get past that, what is now, I think the 4, person blue blood class, Indiana can beat out anybody else.
Flory Badunga is the next recruit, but he's different because he's not an Indiana kid, although he's playing at Kokomo. He's from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So he doesn't know about the IU history and all that. It doesn't mean squat to him. He's just an exceptionally great basketball player that's playing in the state of Indiana. And, oh, man, would Indiana love to get him. I don't know how his recruiting is going to be funky because I know there's a relationship with a coach that's at Bradley, I think. But
A-Hope, yo. Do we not remember A-Hope?
A-Hope.
About A-Hope.
A-Hope.
The Adams family. So I mean, I haven't talked to Mark about this at all. But Mark and Drew, obviously. I'm pretty sure we're talking about Drew is the coach at Bradley. Were you not there for the A-Hope deal, Jim?
No.
Oh man, you missed that. That was a trip. Well, this is the Haunter, Perea, Peter Jerkin, everything. I mean, so that got interesting the first time around because what was the deal? I mean, they found out because basically Mark Adams, who's one of the coaches on the AAU program at Indiana Elite, set up
for 16U.
Was at the 16U. So he set up this foundation called A-Hope, which is I don't know. Bottom line, it was bringing in players from Africa.
Oh, he set that up.
Yes. So, and I can't remember a lot of the specifics, but they got in a little bit of hot water because Haunter, they provided a lot of stuff to Haunter. And what it came down to, though, is Mark was Haunter's guardian. So that was some of the stuff, obviously, when you're bringing in these kids from there. I mean, they certainly don't come with family money. And so he was taking care of Haunter. And, basically they accused him of everything that they gave him. And he's like, and Mark was very odd about, didn't want to say out loud that he had become Haunter's guardian. He didn't want to, just shoot the thing down because he felt weird about saying that. He was doing it. He was practically being the guy's dad, but, didn't want to, felt like that was kind of a violation in some way. But they ended up busting him because Haunter ended up having to serve a couple games because he was designated as a booster because his wife once bought IU alumni stickers for the back of their car. So once you're a booster, you're always a booster. And so therefore he was considered a booster. So technically he couldn't give him anything, but Mark didn't even know that until the NCAA did a full Indiana and NCAA did a full investigation and found this and said, you're a booster. So you couldn't do what you thought you could do, but it was a lot. So anyway, hadn't seen the A-Hope pipeline kicking as much as it was in the early 2010s, but now it is again. No way Flory is 16, 17 years old. Again, people don't remember A-Hope then. People don't remember what Haunter looked like at 15. Dear God. I thought Haunter was going to go to the NBA. You can find the YouTube of me and Hugh Kellenberger and me telling everybody that I thought Haunter at Perea was going to the NBA. So, I have been oversold on A-Hope kids before. Haunter was actually from Columbia, but same program. But yeah, so I haven't really watched Flory yet, but I'm sure he's 16, 17, and I'm sure he's going to be, he's going to show some wild stuff. Whether he can actually put together a full skill set, I'm interested.
He's pretty insanely talented right now. I mean, it's he's dominant when he plays. Of course, we can always see that a lot when you're at a certain level. It's what can you do when you go up a level, but
it's travel ball awesome and high school ball awesome and then college ball awesome, and they're three different things. And so that's the thing. But
his motor, though, just watching him, his motor, he's got a motor. So, and I think that competition may just rev that motor up a little more. But we'll sign. What's up next for you?
Man, we got football camp on Tuesday. We haven't even talked about football camp, guys.
I know.
What's going on?
Yeah, are you shocked by that with Jim?
Judy said there was I thought there would be football. I was told there would be football. But no, guys, camp tomorrow morning, man. We gotta, get up there and actually see. We'll actually see football. We will actually see what the Indiana 2022 team actually looks like and find
Well,
out.
we're going to see what they show us. We're going to see what they let us see.
Yeah, we're going to see more than well, first off, we're just going to see these guys in pads, which we have.
Yes, we'll see Connor Bazelak throw. We'll see Jack Tuttle throw. We'll see all that stuff tomorrow for the very first time.
Simmons and Cam Camper and Donovan McCauley running around catching passes. We'll see Sean Shivers. All of these things are things we have not seen. We will see Miles Jackson, who I'm told is a great bull rush, is a great bull, edge rush guy. We'll see what all this looks like. We get to actually begin and get a sense of Indiana football after the whatever you want to call 2021.
Yeah, and with
how does Indiana football get up off the canvas? That's the question.
Yeah,
there's so much obviously questions going into the season that I'm wondering, can they have a decent season? And by decent, making a bowl game that has to be the epitome for Indiana this year. I mean, man, I don't know if there's 6 wins on the schedule, but that's because I don't know what they have. I don't know. But going off of last year, no, I don't see 6 wins on the schedule.
No.
Maybe 4. And that's stretching it. But maybe they surprise us. Maybe Tom Allen moving to defense is big enough of a change. Maybe Connor Bazelak is an extraordinary talent, and it works, and they get enough done, because they could, you start off with, you beat Illinois, which is, it starts and ends right there. You lose that game, to me, the season's over. Kind of like it was last year with Iowa. The season kind of really, they took a gut punch.
I mean, they should have. Obviously, everything piled up. I mean, I remember saying when the season started, I'm like, they can be 2-4 and still be okay. Was sort of my thought. But when the bottom fell out, and it was also like there were teams that were way better than we thought. I mean, Michigan State and Michigan in particular were, like they had bad 2020s, flat bad 2020s. Michigan State was terrible in 2020, and Michigan was not very good. And so I was like, okay, they can start 2-4. They can lose to Iowa, Cincinnati, Penn State, and I can't remember. There was one more that I wasn't surprised that they lost to, but it wasn't Michigan. I guess Ohio State, and said, okay, but they might run the table after that, and they did not.
Well,
that's not how it went.
If they have just an average offense, I think that they can get off to a 4-0 start. That's Maxine said it's time for a break. She's right. But I think they can get off to a 4-0 start if they have an average offense. Dustin Dopirak, make sure you give him a follow and be a subscriber. I am. Keep local papers alive. Dustin, I can't thank you enough, buddy. See you tomorrow.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. See you down in Bloomington. See you guys.
Hey, we're back with more right after this, brought to you by our good friends from Courtroom Sports Grill down in Bedford. Make sure you stop by. Great place to catch a game. Just meet up with friends. Whatever you need to do. They provide themselves with providing guests with fresh, innovative dishes designed to please your palate and your wallet. Part of the Wow Club. Make sure you go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Sign up today. Back with more and Jim Reamer right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting...
Sorry, we're a little bit behind, Jim Reamer.
No, that's fine.
I like the new setup. How long have you had this going on?
Rearranged the den last week. And it was just a bare wall, and now I'm kind of figuring out what goes back there. I've got to get some IU stuff, though.
Well, you got that Butler University right there.
And the original rules of basketball below it.
You notice there's no IU stuff in the studio,
I know.
right?
Right. Well, I gotta get that. I don't.
No, I'm talking about mine. There is no
yours.
Yeah, no IU stuff in the studio.
Oh. I used to have. Remember those? They were almost comic style paintings or prints of arenas.
I have them on my. I have them of some of the former IU players of like 4 on my phone. They're kind of funny.
Yeah, these are the ones that were just of the arenas, and they had famous people drawn in the stands, and it was kind of like a Where's Waldo. I've got a few of them. I don't know that I still have, or I had a few of them. I don't know if I still have them. I wish I did now. sort of developing a little bit of a man corner here. So
practice starts tomorrow, Dustin.
I know.
You should have come up here for a week.
The weekly conversation. Dustin should be up in Indiana.
No, he could have. He could have come here and went to Purdue both.
I could have hit both practices. There's first weekend
and the Colts
and Indiana both play at home on Thursday and Friday.
And the Colts. You can go to the Colts practice, which is open.
Where do they practice? It's not in Anderson anymore, is it?
No,
it's Westfield.
Westfield.
Grant Park.
We could actually do the show there, man.
Yeah, it's a really outstanding facility. I mean, it's basically built as an event center with 3 indoor football size fields.
Man, that's crazy.
They've got a restaurant there.
We just traded out a second Dustin for a second gym.
There we go.
Yeah,
Dustin, where are you located?
Right now, I'm in Gainesville, Florida.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
For well-qualified buyers on all 2017 through 2021 Honda certified pre-owned Accords, Civics, CRVs, HRVs, and Pilots. See dealer for financing deals. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is a Monday, and it looks like it's got a little bit of rainy out there today in south central Indiana.
It's a monsoon.
Where you are, it is?
It was earlier, yeah. It's calmed down now.
Yeah, I haven't. Oh, yeah. Wow. Pulling up the map. Look at that. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Yeah, that's a slow to get up. Oh, my gosh. Man, where was I when that went through?
Are you still in bed?
Maybe. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. I cannot believe we're already 3/4 through the show, but man, that was a pretty good storm that rolled through there. Right at it says while we were on the air. I didn't hear a bit. Did you? That's crazy.
Nuts. I didn't hear anything coming in from Gainesville, Florida.
But into a little life, a little rain must fall. Into each life, a little rain must fall, right? Makes the flowers grow. We were just talking about Flory Badunga, and his recruiting is going to go crazy, I think, next season, if not before. But does anybody have a chance besides because there's a relationship with his current AAU coach and an assistant that's on that staff, right? No. His brother is at Bradley.
No, his son's at Bradley.
His son's at Bradley. Okay.
Yeah. Drew Adams.
So is that going to affect the recruitment of Flory Badunga?
You wouldn't think so. I mean, it's not like they're not funneling a bunch of guys to Bradley that have
but a bunch of guys aren't Flory Badunga.
True, but I don't know that. Look, they're going to want him to go to the best possible place for all of it. I mean, if that's the case, especially in this NIL era.
Having just lost Xavier Booker, not lost, but having Xavier Booker, which they were recruiting, but I don't know how hard they were recruiting him. I don't know how hard they ever really got in on him, and I know that they were late. So he ends up committing to Michigan State, but not getting a high-profile player from your state that's something Indiana does need to start doing. Not all of them, but you just got to get. And I think that starts with Jalen Harrelson and Trent Sisley, but Flory Badunga would certainly is one in that class, the 24 class. It's not extraordinarily strong, but he's a top 5 player.
24 is not deep, at least in this state. It's basically Flory. I mean, he came in as soon as we saw him play last September. Boom, he was number 1 player in the class out of the state. That is certainly the number 1 prospect, and how he's developed. I am impressed with his discipline defensively. He does not bite, does not go for fakes. You've got to be pretty convincing. Doesn't get himself in foul trouble. He is. He's not out there just hunting blocks. He's a legitimate rim protector who can then adjust and slide. He's going to be good ball screen coverage. He's going to be able to do much of whatever you need defensively. Offensively, his game's still very much a work in progress. He's still very tied to the rim or anywhere where he can get in one dribble. But as I put in the chat room while Dustin was what Dopirak was talking, the other Dustin, Flory's taller than Hanner. He's more skilled and he's in space and more athletic. And that's where some of the difference is. He's got a different body than anybody that's come over, at least through Indiana, from Africa, I guess, from overseas. He's just a different player physically. And he's also a kid that hasn't been playing the sport all that long. So you look at what he's doing now with just 3 years of work and what it could be, what it can be. It makes him different than what's been through here for a while. It's very, very Sean Kemp-esque in terms of his body, in terms of his physical maturity. So someone in the chat room said there's no way he's 16 or 17 years old. I mean, I know Kemp was old for his age, but he still was a legitimately aged kid for the class of 1988. But Flory looks a lot like Sean Kemp especially from the neck down. It's his physique is tremendous, and he's got the motor that you want to in a big man.
Yeah, his motor is the thing that stands out to me most of all, Dustin. When I watch this guy, he's going to be a junior. No, he's going to be a senior, right?
Junior.
He's going to be a junior, and he just. The confidence, and for a big man, he's got some ball handling skills. I mean, I've seen him play. I've seen him in traffic, no less, which was a little surprising.
Well, that's where we get what Dustin was saying about summer basketball, school basketball, and college. That's where sort of some of it hit. The rubber hits the road on that as to what will translate, and that's the thing we've talked about with Booker. There's a lot of stuff that Booker does that looks good on highlight films that doesn't translate. And that's going to be the interesting thing is just to a point is does he develop that part of his game to where it does translate because he's not going to have the body that a lot of Big Ten bigs will have. So there's going to have to be something that's different about Booker that makes him able to compete physically in the Big Ten.
Yeah. And we'll find out how that is, but I think that his ability to be a perimeter player is if he can improve that. He's actually going to have to improve that because he doesn't seem to be a great interior player. It doesn't seem like he really wants to play in there, and he's not built for it. Looks like he's trying to be more of a poor man's Kevin Durant.
Well, and at that point you're being guarded by perimeter players, and that's where a lot of it is. Whenever we've played him, we didn't get to play him this year, but we've always treated him like a perimeter player defensively. We've never really worried about putting a big man on him because it's, and I know it's small sample size, especially when you consider the summer, and it's there's not a ton of scouting going on, although we try to do it a little bit, but and at that point, who is he going to guard? That's anytime someone's like, yeah, he's this, he's that. I'm like, who is he going to guard? That's the thing, and that's where he looks really good when he's 6'10", 6'11", and he's blocking shots of a 6'5", 6'6" kid or a small guard who's able to get to the rim. There's a lot more reads that take place in college. He's not going to be able to just sell out and block shots. He will hunt blocks rather than I don't want to say rather than. He will hunt blocks, whereas I would view Badunga as a legitimate rim protector. Booker doesn't. If Booker doesn't block a shot, you're making the basket. Flory, he doesn't block the shot. He's still figuring out ways to alter it. There is just a difference, and you saw it when they played each other. I mean, Booker blocked Badunga maybe 2 or 3 times. I think, but Flory was still something like a 10 for 11 from the field, and all of it was at the rim. Meanwhile, Booker, that game, went 6 for 19, and he did hit 3 or 4 threes, but it's pick and pop stuff with Badunga off the floor. It was over basically their backup center, who's actually a decent 6'5", 6'6" athlete, but is pretty much tied to the paint like Flory, so he doesn't get much clock unless Flory's out.
Well, we'll see. It's going to be watching his recruitment over the next 2 years, because it's going to, Rivals, he was unranked by anyone, and Rivals, his first ranking is number 6.
Yeah, I mean, that's unknown. He wasn't even here.
It's hard to go from 0 to 6, and that's just Rivals ranking. I don't know. There's others to still come. What his composite ranking will end up being. Possibly a little higher, possibly a little lower. I don't know, but he's unquestionably, he could potentially end up being the top recruit in that class.
Right.
I mean, he's got that kind of talent, I think, and that's going to get better.
And I would push back a little bit on Indiana being late on Booker. I'm looking at it here real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his offers were before anyone could see him play live, because of the NCAA basically keeping their coaches off the road. And he got his offer in June 23rd of 2021. So that would have been after the second weekend that coaches could watch these guys play live. So, I mean, I would push back on that a little bit. Now, granted, I've got a database with dates in it, so I'm not going off memory. I just wanted to look it up real quick before, but he had he had Purdue, TCU, Tulane, IUPUI, Kansas State, and LSU before anybody could see him play.
Yeah, well, I think Tom Izzo just seemed to get in. He's done a good job, but he usually doesn't get. It surprised me that they still got him out of there, and you've got to give Tom Izzo a hell of a lot of credit for that. But I would think that those days are about to come to an end, as I think Indiana just doesn't have. They've got to have the winning behind the recruiting, and once that happens, then everything will change. Then those guys you're not gonna get beat by Duke or Michigan State, in my opinion. But you have to the winning that Big Ten title. Once that Big Ten title comes and you're competitive in the NCAA, now you're off and running.
Well, it's like you've said a lot, and I've agreed with it. Is the class of 2025 is really which starts when we start figuring out how Woodson's going to recruit in state, because that's really going to be the first full class, or the first class where it's a full recruiting cycle. The rest of the stuff has been impacted by COVID and the early process of a transfer portal team still trying to figure out how they're going to manage that. So this class of 2025 is going to be the first real test.
Yep, and they're on campus. Trent Sisley and Jalen Harrison here the next day and two. Each are here in Purdue, so look forward to it. We've got to take a break. Jim, what's coming up with Courtside Indiana?
Well, we were going to take a week off, but from podcasting, but then we had a flurry of commitments. So Kyler and I are going to record a podcast tonight, and then the rest of it is sort of leaning into the kids that are unsigned or maybe under recruited. And there's really not much going on from a playing perspective until right after Labor Day. So it's kind of a little bit of a hiatus from an actual playing perspective.
Sounds good. Make sure you tune in for that or find that. Where can they find that?
CourtsideIndiana.com. And if we post every podcast, but then our podcast is on Apple Podcasts and Spotify primarily.
Sounds good. There you go. Look that up. We've got to take a break. Brought to you by our good friends at Feast Market and Cellar, all part of the Wild Club, of course. Feast Market and Cellar is located next to Southern Stone Restaurant on Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington, offering an extensive wine selection with a sommelier on staff as they take their pairing seriously and can help you do the same. Also providing a wide variety of cheeses, gourmet sandwiches, entrees, and a coffee bar, all mouth-watering. Make sure you stop by. Lots more coming up with Dustin and Schutte. Thanks, Jim Reamer, and we're back right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting.
Cool.
Jim, you were just needing me for one segment.
Yeah, I'm just going to finish up with Dustin since he's all here with us.
That's cool. All right, man.
Thank you, sir.
To meet you.
You too. Take care.
See you guys. Thanks,
Thank you, buddy. Have a good one. All right.
I've been getting a lesson today.
Yeah, on what?
On recruiting.
Well, that's
welcome
good.
to Mondays on Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
I'm learning. I got nothing to add to the conversation, so I'm just sitting back and listening.
That's good. Take it in. Take it in. Take it in. Oh. Track temperatures well into the 100s. Wow. The seasonal heat just in the mid 80s like normal, but the track temperatures were well into the 100s. Dun 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 dun. Well, you know what? I was afraid to do. Is it time for the cooking food segment of the show? Yeah, we can do that.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
What did you do?
A nacho burger.
Soda Pop posted. Who's Soda Pop?
Me.
That's Dustin, according to Jennifer.
You're Soda Pop?
Because I joined Outsider.
What does that mean? Oh,
Soda Pop from The Outsiders, Rob Lowe's character.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, I didn't watch that. So,
jeez. I'm learning how in-depth recruiting gets.
Oh, good God.
My goodness. I mean, I had the outsider's perspective, not to play on words there, but I had the outsider's perspective because we just did, some of the top guys are when there was a commitment. We didn't get into the nitty-gritty of it at tradition.
There's nitty-gritty.
All right, boys and girls. 30 seconds.
Sports Beat Radio. We're now a part of the Rivals Network. TheHoosier.com is where you can find complete coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and plenty more. Simply go to TheHoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Tebow likes the fried pickles at Bubba's 33. Someone Jennifer called Dustin Soda Pop from the movie The Outsiders, and if I saw it, it was when it came out. When is it? Wasn't that like an 80s movie?
I think it was late 80s, I could be completely wrong on that. I'm almost positive it was like 87, 88, something like that. Maybe it was even earlier. But it had like an all-star cast. I think Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez.
The Outsiders is a 1983 American coming-of-age drama film directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Wow. It's an adaptation of the 1967 movie of the same name by S.E. Hinton that was released on March 25th, 1983.
So I adopted the name Soda Pop because, you know,
a librarian
character.
A librarian at Lone Star Elementary School in Fresno, California, and her students were responsible for Coppola making the film. It's noted for its up-and-coming stars, including C. Thomas Howell, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, Matt Dillon, Tom Cruise, Patrick Swayze, Ralph Macchio, and Diane Lane. That's funny. The film helped spark the Brat Pack genre of the 80s. Dillon went on to star in 2 more films based on Hinton novels. Tex with Estevez and Coppola's Rumblefish with Lane. So there you go. The plot, 1965, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Greasers, Ponyboy Curtis and his brothers, Daryl and Soda Pop. I was hoping it would say Daryl and his other brother, Daryl. They hang out with Johnny, Dallas Dally, a 2-bit Steve, their rivals. So what happens?
Yeah. I don't remember the movie nor the book. I remember watching it. I remember reading it, but I could not tell you. I was probably in 7th grade when I watched the book because we read the book and we watched the movie, and I have no recollection of what happened. Same thing with Animal
One thing
Farm.
that you might know in pop culture that spurred from this book/movie is the phrase "Stay Golden, Pony Boy." Have you ever heard that, Jim?
I've heard that phrase. You've never heard that phrase?
Boy.
Wow.
Well,
for once, Jim doesn't understand something that we understand.
I understand it. I've just never heard it. Well, that's why I don't remember it.
Usually it's something about the Little 500, and neither one of us have a clue what he's talking about.
Yeah, the bicycle movie.
The bicycle movie. It's not a bicycle movie. The bicycle movie.
I still haven't watched it. What's it called?
I'm Breaking Away. I mean,
Breaking Away.
You can't even be. You're about to lose your Hoosier credentials, man.
Is that like calling Forrest Gump a running movie?
Yeah. How about that cross country movie that Forrest Gump was in?
Now that's a football movie.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more about running.
That's true.
Ralph Macchio said it apparently.
Bam.
Wasn't Patrick Swayze in it too? Did you? I can't remember if you all mentioned him. Right. Okay,
Patrick Swayze was.
Justin says the best bicycle movie ever made is Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
There we go.
Now that's a bicycle movie. Breaking Away is not.
But
Breaking Away is a love story.
Oh, a love story.
Well, I mean, it's a coming of age. He's got a crush on a girl. No, he's a Bloomington kid, man. He's a cutter. And there's all the kids that are from Bloomington, but they feel ostracized by the students that are, not from Bloomington and yada, yada. That's how it got going.
I do need to watch this because I need to see what it's all about.
Well, yeah, you need to watch it. Of course you need to watch it. I
can find it.
Google it. It'll pop up. I promise you. It's not that hard.
All right. Maybe it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, man. What I just said? I cannot believe.
Is it better or worse than Hoosiers?
It's kind of like when people text me or send me a message. I try to respond to everybody that reaches out to me, the listeners and everybody. But it's really aggravating when someone sends me a message asking me, hey, you know what time the game is on? And my first was thinking is, you obviously have access to telecommunications. Google GTS. You know what that stands for?
According to realgood.com, REELGOOD,
They're a website that likes to they put all of you can search anything essentially on there. It'll tell you where to find it and you can watch it at. You can see Breaking Away on Prime Video if you rent or buy it. You can get it with your subscription on HBO Max or HBO, and then as well as DirecTV Stream.
I do have HBO Max.
Okay, well let me
there
tell you
go.
this.
You have no excuse to watch the bicycle movie now.
Well, let me tell you this. This bicycle movie made 10 times, almost 10 times what it cost to make at the box office.
Wow.
That's mainly because it cost $2.3 million to make, and it made $20 million.
I tell you what, I'm shocked that I had not heard of this movie until last year or whenever it was that we first talked about it. But now that I know that it's on HBO Max, I will make it a point this weekend to watch that movie.
I'm just shocking. What? No, 1979, man.
Oh,
it was made at the old football stadium. It was like may have been the last year of the old football stadium that was on 10th Street that I never saw. I don't think. No, I did not see because the first time I came up was like a few years after that. So, but Dennis Christopher's in the movie. Dennis Quaid is in the movie. Daniel Stern, who was in what was with the kid?
Home Alone, right?
Home Alone. Yep. Jackie Earl Haley. You know who that is?
Nope.
Oh man,
I know the first couple guys. I don't know who
you'll know it is when you see him.
Okay.
Paul Dooley, you don't know Paul Dooley's name, but you'll know him when you see him as well. Trying to think if there's anybody else that was John Ashton, that name somewhere. PJ Souls. She was in Stripes. She was one of the MPs at the beginning of Stripes.
Okay.
So that's funny. Yeah. But
Breaking Away, appointment television or appointment movie watching.
The fact that you not seeing it is just the fact that you're not familiar with hearing it is I'm surprised that people are not. Yes. I'm surprised these people are not just raking you over the coal, man.
Is it better or worse than Hoosiers?
Well, it's not better than Hoosiers.
Okay.
It's not worse than. It's just not better than.
It's equal. We're equal ground here.
There you go. Jennifer says it's no Hoosiers, but it's a cool movie. Yeah, because it's Hoosiers is it's kind of a true story turned on.
Right.
Breaking Away is not necessarily a true story. So, so there you that. Yeah, I'm trying to look up Paul Dooley, but he was in other stuff that you would know from, but he was in 16 Candles. I'll be damned with those other people, huh? With all those other young upcoming stars, I'll be damned. But he's a guy that you just know his face, character actor. You'd know him.
Yeah. There's plenty of those. It's kind of like for me, like music. I can hear a song and I know the song, but I don't know the band. And then you finally recognize it when somebody tells you, "Oh, this is so and so."
Great. I love Bad News Bears. What?
Oh, that's a great movie. Love that,
dude. Oh my God. It was on probably, I don't know, it could have been a couple of months ago. And I just happened to catch the end of it. And I just started laughing because I'm like, they couldn't make that movie today if they wanted to. It's got buckets of beer that the kids are grabbing at the end and they're all drinking the beer and cussing. And it's funny as hell.
Walter Matthau is the perfect guy for that too.
Walter Matthau is hilarious. Those movies, Grumpy Old Men, Grumpy Old Man, they are crack. He's just hilarious. He's just a funny dude, man. Wow. Dave Martin, his brother got to be there when they were filming the race scene. That's cool as hell.
Wow. Nice.
So Wyatt wants to know, does anyone know where he can find any pictures of the 10th Street Stadium? I've GTS'd it many times. Oh, really? Wow. You just go under like IU archives or something. But yeah, there's tons of pictures out there.
If there's pictures of that Hoosier Pride mascot, there's got to be pictures of the 10th Street Stadium.
Yeah, just think of games. Look up games from back then. Oh, please don't show that. The bus. No, that was the bus coming in down that bus.
Are you sure is he sure he Googled this, because it popped right up for me? Yeah.
There you go. That's the double-decker bus that well, you can't on radio, obviously. Our friends on the ref can't see that, but
the press box.
Lee Corso.
Lee Corso was the coach and had that double-decker driven in. But yeah, there you go. He was also a great Mr. Wilson on Dennis the Menace.
Yep, I remember that too.
So there you go. But yeah, cool. So there you go. There's your assignment. I guess we need to give you an assignment each week.
There we go. I'm down for that.
Up to speed, man. Man, but yeah, that's back then it's all it was, maybe, but now it's 24s.
That's how I know about bikes.
I tell you what, and the visors and the hats are in. So we have to start coming up with a way to give one away. And because not everyone gets to listen live.
But that's the thing, though. I know you want to give everybody a chance, but I think that should be the incentive to listen in. You have to give it away while the show's live.
Well, I'll do two.
There you go.
There you go.
Those live listeners and those that are not live listeners. We'll start doing that. Man, it was a great show. Cannot thank Kyler Staley enough from thehoosier.com. Make sure you go there because they have got all the coverage on the visits from IU basketball, thehoosier.com. Also, Dustin Dopirak, he's got some great stuff out as well from the Bloomington Herald Times. Let's see. Do we have anybody else besides Dustin Schutte on? And Jim Reamer, of course, from Courtside, Indiana. And, of course, Dustin, who we hope to see tomorrow and every day thereafter whenever possible. Great. Cannot thank all of you guys enough. You are the reason. Without you, we've got no reason to be here, and we appreciate you so much. And we'll see you tomorrow at the start of football practice. I may be coming from out there. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.